On this lovely Monday evening, I welcome you to episode number 242 on the 3rd of August 2020.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
Going to the gym, going to the gym, going to the gym, then go to the gym. मैटर है निजी मोबाइल में 3G वेट 90 kg आई एम गोइंग क्रेजी मूड बनाना पड़ता है जिम जाने के लिए बेबी बहुत सारा जी लिया हूँ खाने के लिए सुबह सुबह उठता हूँ ब्रश करके सोचता हूँ अभी जाऊँ दोपहर में जाऊँ या रात को जाऊँ जिम मैंने डिसाइड कर लिया है बॉडी होगी ट्रिम अभी देखो ना किचन से मॉम की आई ये आवाज बने हैं राजमा चावल और साथ में ओनली प्याज ओ माय गॉड इट्स ऑसम विद देसी घी आई लव घी 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 क्या करूं व्हाट टू डू कंट्रोल नहीं होता है माँ को ना करने का कुछ और नहीं होता है राजमा के बाद थोड़ा आ जाता है फैट आई नो बेबी इट्स हेवी ऑन योर हार्ट मेरा जिम जाना कैंसिल बट आर यू गोइंग टू द जिम गोइंग टू द जिम गोइंग टू द जिम then go to the gym I'm going to the gym I'm going to the gym I'm going to the gym Are you coming or not? मैं तो जा रहा हूँ आई नो कि जरूरी नहीं रोज पुश करना आई नो कि जरूरी नहीं वेट लूज करना एवरीडे खुलते हैं रहते हैं सिटी में पार्क कभी मेल में वेल में सेल फोन में होम में आ जाते हैं इनवाइट एम आई राइट टेम्पटेशन तो हो जाती है ना ब्रो वी हैव टू ग्रो जाना पड़ता है ना बार में कंपनी की कार में इस वाला पिज्जा फिर आ जाता है सामने फैट वाला खाना क्यों बनाया है राम ने रम पिया पिया फुल पिया क्या क्या नहीं मैंने किया सड़कों पे डांस किया पर वो भी रैप किया आहा अभी रैप किया आहा अभी रैप किया बोला सबको मैंने उस दिन टाटा टाटा मारा अपने चीक पर चाटा चाटा खाऊं मैं कार्बोहाइड्रेट बढ़ जाता है मेरा 2-3 किलो वेट आई नो दिस फंडा प्लीज मारो मुझे अंडा कल से फॉर श्योर मैं जाऊंगा जिम बाय द वे आर यू गोइंग टू द जिम going to the gym, going to the gym, then go to the gym. I'm going to the gym, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to the gym. दिखना है slim. Those individuals looking to put a break on their weight and carbohydrate must be wanting to go to the gym. But it's a different situation right now. Gyms were closed for the major part of this pandemic circus, and now it's come a full circle. And finally, the federal governments have given the permission for the gyms to open. It's not going to be the same as it used to be. It's going to be a very different story when it comes to the gym with limited capacity, social distancing, wearing masks, and gyms following the reward and punishment strategy means if you don't wear masks, your membership will be cancelled and to placate a few paranoid individuals as well as the federal government and the authorities. They are saying that they will sanitize every equipment after every session. Now, there is a very interesting article in this newspaper, and it syncs beautifully with the article that I wrote a couple of months ago. The double standard nature of the understanding of hygiene. When the gyms say that, or the gym managers or the owners say that they are cleaning equipment after every session, now does it mean that they never bothered about doing the same before? Is this change of friendliness which has come, is it just to placate the authorities and a few paranoid individuals so that these paranoid individuals don't cancel their membership and continue it? And the gym owners also reciprocate by saying that if you don't wear mask, you don't maintain distance, and you stop all the physical contact that happens in a gym, we will continue your membership, and if you flout any of the rules, we will cancel your membership. Doesn't it remind you of a normal life that if you don't observe a rule, you will be fined? Because fine or canceling your membership of any such organization is the only way, unfortunately, to bring humanity down to its knees, or rather, to make sure that humans follow the rules, whether it's wearing seat belts and avoiding fines, or right now cities all over the world have enforced laws that if you don't wear masks, you will be fined. If you don't wear seat belts, you will be fined. If you run a red light, you will be fined. Is fine the only way to get humans to do things? I think that is something that has been ingrained in us for so long that it is never going away. And it's pretty simple. People don't want to pay fines, so they say we rather follow the rules than pay fines. And the organizations are happy. People are coming. We are placating them by allowing them to come. We are telling them follow the rules, stay with the membership, break the rules, lose the membership. And then right now every organization, be it a restaurant, mall, gym, or any such organization, they are so paranoid about losing business that they will do anything, even if it's just a facade, to make sure that people feel happy that yes, these organizations are concerned about our health. But let me tell you, they are doing it because they want to save their business, not because they are concerned about your health. Let me talk about a very interesting article which was published in one of the supplements, that is the Delhi Times, about OCD versus hygiene. Well, if you want to know what is OCD, who is a germaphobe, I think the Indian TV show Breathe, its season 2, episode 2, highlights beautifully how we would behave if we went to the extreme end of being germophobes. In that episode, there is this character who is so paranoid about hygiene. He cleans his spoons when he goes to a restaurant. He cleans his pen after finishing the work. He cleans his cards, steering wheel, and other such assortments. And this is what we are doing. Are we not? This is how we are being placated as far as the idea of hygiene goes. Even if you don't want to watch the rest of the TV show, Breathe Into the Shadows season 2. I'm not endorsing it, but I'm saying season 2 beautifully encompasses in those 45 minutes as to what we are doing. That TV show, which came even before this thing struck or whatever is happening right now, it's beautifully written by the writer, it's beautifully shown by the director and other people, and even the actor has gone on to such lengths that in real life this actor might be doing these things now because he did it so beautifully during that acting phase. Now I want everyone to watch that episode and you will know how are we behaving right now. Right now, the idea around hygiene is OCD. It's OCD and business. Business is looking to get back on the economy track and making sure that they continue to earn a living for themselves as well as their employees, as well as in general people crossing that hygiene line into the OCD line, which has already started. Are we OCD? Definitely. Has the line been crossed? Absolutely. And then, of course, comes the question, what were these organizations doing before? Were they not interested in cleaning? Did they ever clean the premises after every session, that is, gyms or saloons and such places where a lot of people throng? And if you see boards outside such organizations like gyms and saloons where they mention in big letters that we clean the premises after every session, it only means one thing, that it was not natural to them, that they are forced to do it. Because if they were cleaning their premises after every session, be it a saloon or a gym, then they wouldn't need to advertise this. The fact that they have advertised this, it only means before the gyms were as dirty as it could be, as well as the saloons. We already know the gyms were a hub of germs. But now the fact that they have to advertise such a simple thing as cleaning something which should be natural, and they have to go overboard it, they have to show the OCD element into it. It shows that they were not concerned before, that the whole idea of hygiene has been forced upon them. They were not doing it before, that the whole mask wearing is because it's an obligation. It's to avoid fines, not because X cares about Y or Y cares about being infected. Infection has no role to play in this. But while one can debate on masks forever, I'm talking about going overboard with this whole idea of cleanliness. You can read my article, The Paradoxical Nature of Hygiene, on my website, and you will understand where I am going. Now, let's talk about how the gym management and the gym members are going overboard with this whole idea of to go or not to go to the gym. Let's look at some of the guidelines proposed by the federal agencies as well as the gym managements. Distance between equipment, regular sanitization of equipment, temperature checks before a person enters, clients to bring their own towels, water bottles, mats, etc., trainers to wear masks, shields, gloves while training, no physical contact, including high fives and handshakes between people. While point number 6 points to OCD, let me focus on point number 2, 4. Okay, point number 2 was regular sanitization of equipment. Once again, the paradoxical nature, and they're only sanitizing to show that they are concerned about their members. They're concerned about their members because members bring in the moolah, and then members want to go to the gym because you heard the song. So it's something which is win-win for everyone. But my question is, did they not clean the equipment before? Did they have to really advertise this SOP? Should it not have been regular that they would clean it, and now are they doing it out of force, or are they doing it because it has to be done? So for me, this point number 2 is basically, as one has heard of the word, this regular sanitization of equipment has only one term. It's optics. It's only for show. It's a superficial thing. If they were really concerned, then this situation wouldn't have arrived. They wouldn't have to add this in their SOPs if they were cleaning it before. Well, it's before this pandemic circus or after the pandemic circus or during the pandemic circus. I think this is a superficial addition as far as the SOPs are concerned. We can keep reiterating that it's a changed world. Well, I don't see it like that. For me, there is no difference except wearing masks and going out less, and the whole social distancing thing coming into effect. I don't think there's any change. Well, for me, it is a facade. If these gym owners, these saloon management were really concerned, they would have done this cleaning every day on a regular basis. The fact that they have to change their attitude about concern, it's only because about the economy. They want the money coming in, so they will placate the owners, they will placate the federal authorities. Yes, we are concerned about you. We will maintain social distancing. Course, one additional feature is that individuals will have to book their slots while going to the gym. Well, if that's the whole thing, then it's not that straightforward to book a slot, because it often gets jumbled up as far as the slots are concerned. And if you don't come in your slot, you will be not allowed to come. Well, that's a discussion for a different day. As I said, it's all about livelihood, and this is how it is exactly panning out. There's, of course, the whole obsession of using sanitizers. Well, do we even know the sanitizers they keep are actually sanitizers? They have the actual soap in them, or is it just water? Is it just, as I said, a facade? Well, we will never know. All you have to do is keep a sanitizer outside your gym, outside your place of business. People have to press the button and they will wash their hands clean. And that's it. We don't even know if our hands are really clean. But as I said, sometimes you have to go by what the majority says or what the different federal authorities say. They will be happy that people are wearing masks, even though they don't really care if people are wearing masks. And they will be happy that the various organizations which were affected, whose livelihood, whose employees' livelihood were affected, are now using or telling their clients or customers to use sanitizers, even though it's one drop. I don't see the logic of it, but sometimes it's optics, sometimes it's the facade which works. It's the same debate with wearing seat belts. Why do people wear seat belts? People wear seat belts not because they are concerned about their safety, but because they know they will be caught on cameras. So they rather wear the seat belt to avoid paying a fine. It's a similar thing here. People rather wear masks and use sanitizers to avoid paying a fine. As of this moment, it's nothing more than paranoia and OCD and not concerned about the others' health and safety. Right now, we are only presuming that everybody else in front of us is infected, so we are wearing the mask to save ourselves, and the other person is wearing the mask to save himself or herself from us. So it's basically a suspicion game which is happening. Social distancing was important, especially in the Indian context when the population is so huge that it's difficult to know the crowd. So, yes, maybe a bit of distance from the crowd works. But then for me, this social distancing thing wasn't something novel simply because schools they used to tell us keep a one hand distance from the individual in front of you, and that is exactly what we did. Just like there is a bumper to bumper traffic during the traffic time, and then cars are really close to each other. Shouldn't there be a similar training as far as driving cars are concerned that keep a social distance between two cars and not just between two human beings? Then there is a caveat to all this additional features means masks worn by the employees, which will have to be changed after a few hours, and of course, wearing the hazmat suits, the shields. As a gym manager or a gym owner rightly points out that the operational cost will go up, which means that if they have to purchase masks, gloves, shield, additional sanitizing equipment, which they should have purchased in general anyway, but now they have to purchase it specially. Who will bear the cost? The gym membership is going to go up by default. We're all excited that we are wearing gloves and masks and shield, but are we even concerned how will we dispose this waste? Has any SOP been sent by the various municipal corporations as to such organization where you have to wear mask like it's now a normal part of your body, that how will you dispose it? How will it be different from the other waste that is generated in a restaurant or in a gym? At this point, I don't think anybody is concerned about the waste generated through mask, whether it's a cloth mask or the plastic shields or the plastic PPE suits or the cloth hazmat suits. After the farcical discussion about climate change, which has, as by design and default, taken a back burner, the concern is about health and hygiene and hazmat suits and gloves and masks and whatnot. Disposing of such products is the last thing on our mind. So the question is, go to the gym or not go to the gym? Well, the song says go because you have to lose weight, but logic says don't go because you will be with so many sweaty individuals. Despite all this caricature of saying that book your slots, it still doesn't work. Another match, another deja vu moment in the England Ireland series. Ireland handicapped by the fact that they play less of this sport even during the normal times, and now the fact that they have not played for a long time because of this pandemic circus. They were once again victim of the attitude of the International Cricket Council towards associate teams like Ireland. And we could see, despite their effort, they only managed 200 odd runs in the second match. And England, as always, thanks to Johnny Bairstow, who I'm surprised till now has only played 79 matches. By the looks of it, he should have played at least 200, considering the fact that he made his debut 8 years ago, but that's a different matter. While Roy couldn't get his scoring going, Bedso scored 80 of 40 balls. That means almost 55% of the runs were scored by this guy, and even if England were 137 for 6, they were rescued by Sam Billings and upcoming all-rounder in David Willey. Way this tournament has been scheduled right in the middle after the England West Indies Test tournament finishes and just before the England Pakistan Test tournament starts a couple of days from now, just to give what they call the white ball players some much needed belief as to the fact that they are satisfied that they are playing. But the way the commentators were selected, there were no hi-fi commentators, maybe a couple of commentators who will become popular commentators, but they were more of the fringe commentators, the fringe players in the team, except a couple of people who are team white ball players. That is, they had the likes of Bairstow, Rowe, and Morgan as their regular only one day players. Imagine if Johnny Bairstow was not in the ODI team but the test team, then it would have been the other way around. Josh Butler would have been playing in place of Johnny Bairstow. So for me, it was a win-win. The fact that the match is against Ireland and how the attitude of the players and the commentators and the print and the electronic media alike is there. There was no discussion because eventually it's Ireland as the opposition team. Who cares about Ireland as the opposition team? And in an interesting development, the Indian government has allowed the Indian Cricket Board to schedule and organize the T20 domestic tournament in Dubai. Remember, it was the Dubai government or the UAE government who invited India. The Indian Cricket Board, desperate to earn some moolah because they were losing their coffer because the different team managements were pressurizing the Indian Cricket Board to organizing the tournament because these team management were also losing their livelihood, were losing their profits because it is a for profit tournament. So with all this pressure, the invitation, the money at stake, and the players getting bored, and the players desperate like a caged person wanting to get out of that detention mode that everybody is in. They would be happy to play any tournament, even if it means traveling 3 hours to Dubai and once again being stuck in the bubble. And of course, all the piece of staying away from the media, staying away from the non-bubble people means a player from Chennai Indians cannot interact with a player from Mumbai Super Kings as freely as they would want to because they would be in their own containment zones in their own bubble. And as the match is not happening in India, India is not the host, some other country is the host, the pressure is of the Indian government. Why will they say no? They would say yes. Why? Because tax would be coming in. Now it's the responsibility of the Indian Cricket Board, the Dubai governments, the UAE governments, the responsibility of the various team management to take care of their players, to do the testing and whatever protocols are required. And if anything happens, it will be the responsibility of these people. And a few organizations or an entire setup can say that we are not responsible. I wasn't surprised. To have come clean to the paternal parent would have been to invite hell of the worst description. Old Stoker was not the type of father who laughs indulgently when informed by a daughter that she has lost her chemise and foundation garments at the races. I don't suppose he has ever laughed indulgently in his life. I have never seen him even smile. Apprised of his child's goings on, he would have unquestionably have blown his top and reduced her to a level of a fifth-rate par. I have been present on occasions when the old God help us was going good. And I can testify that boiling point is low. Quite rightly has she decided that silence was best. It was quite a load off my mind to be able to file away the Emerald Stoker mystery in my case book as solved. For I dislike being baffled and the thing had been weighing on me, but there were one or two small points to be cleared up. How did she happen to come to Tortille? I must have been responsible for that. During our talk at that studio party, I remember mentioning that Sir Watkin was in the market for a cook. And I suppose I must have given her his address, for she applied for the post and got it. These American girls have such enterprise. Is she enjoying her job? Thoroughly, according to Jeeves. She's teaching the butler rummy. I hope she skins him to the bone. No doubt she will when he is sufficiently advanced to play for money. And she tells me she loves to cook. What's her cooking like? I could answer that. She had once or twice given me dinner at her flat, and the browsing had been impeccable. It melts in the mouth. It hasn't melted in mine, said Gussie bitterly. Ah, well, he added, a softer light coming into his eyes. There's always that steak and kidney pie. And on this happier note, he took his departure. Remember, as this episode 242 comes to an end, we are just 8 episodes away from the milestone 250th episode.
For more awesome content, tune in to the next episode of The Weekly Show with Aditya.